Welcome back, sewists. I think I'm going to call today's video scrap busting and housekeeping. I have just been managing leftover fabric way too much, and it is on my list of things that really need to get figured out for this year. So I'm doing lots of projects to sew them up, but I'm also going to figure out some other things to do with them. So today we're going to do some really basic projects of things that I really need for using up some of those scraps. And one of the main things is I'm going to make some little shopping bags. I do like to bring my own bags whenever possible, and I need more. I keep giving my bags away or leaving them, like I'll bring groceries to somebody in one of my bags and then it's theirs now. So I'm making some new bags. I've made a couple different versions of my a reusable shopping bag. I have one favorite one that I have given all but one away. I need to make a pattern of it, so it will be coming up. But I think I really like it in a little bit heavier fabric. Today we're using up quilting cottons, and I really am kind of trying to copy the plastic grocery bag that you get. So you're going to see that in today's video. And if we have time, I'm also going to be making a hat and coat for my French press. I've been saying my French press needs a beret. I have pulled out a few fabrics that I have a decent sized scrap out of. I made doctor hats out of this one. This one was, I don't remember what I was going to do with it, but I just had a half a yard. And then I have this one that I bought for another project. I don't really love it. I don't hate it, but it's going to be perfect for this sort of application. So we're going to cut. For most of these, I'm going to do an 18 by 20 rectangle, not technically a square, and I want the 20 to be the long way and the 18 to be across here. This one is directional, so I want to make sure that I cut it properly so that I don't end up with my bird sideways on the back. So I'm going to get those cut out, and then instead of making self handles, I'm going to use, I have this webbing left over from when I made the Cavalcade travel bag. And it's a little bit lightweight. It was lighter weight than I expected when I ordered it for the travel bag, but it will be great for these simple little shopping bags. We're going to get cutting. I've already got this one cut in the right size, so I'm going to use this as my pattern for cutting out the other ones. So we are making our little shopping bags. This one was half a yard, and I had serged to wash it, so it's serged on each end. That's its side seams currently. So it's 18 wide, and it is 20 long. This is approximation. You can cut it according to your scraps, but I will show you the finished size when we're done. And then I have cut, this is webbing, and I've cut them 14 inches long. I've measured in about 5 inches from each side and just pinned it on so that it's in place and ready to go. And the first thing I'm going to do when I get to the machine is I'm going to go over and sew up our side seams. And I'm just doing like a 3/8 inch seam allowance. If this had not already been serged on the edge, I would just serge it together. So we're going to do that first. And I'm going to go ahead and prep a bunch of these. So here's another one ready to go. This one's not serged on the side seam, so I'm going to serge it. I had one scrap that was a little small, so that bag's going to be a little bit different size than this one. And you can adjust your measurements however you want. I go ahead and pin these on or clip these on because I just think it makes it easier for measuring and later on. So I just have it all put together that way. So now we'll head over to the sewing machine and we'll sew up just side seams only. Okay, I am not worrying about matching my threads up. These are little shopping bags that are going to be thrown in the back of my car. They're going to get used and abused, probably washed once in a while. So I'm not being real careful about any of the thread stuff. If I were sewing white with black thread, I might care, but I'm doing sort of a gray or dark fabrics, and I'm using black or navy blue thread throughout because that's just what I already have on my machines. now that I'm already at the serger, I'm going to come over and I'm going to serge around the top of this, catching my little straps at the same time. The other one already, and I'll do that for both of them. So both of these are going to get serged now. Just want to reiterate that when you pin on your straps, they're pinned to the right side. Because when we come back later and we flip this up to hem it, it gets stitched twice. It makes that strap a little stronger. Now this one, because I have an actual seam, I can either push it to one side or I can open it up. I could do it either way. If I open it up, if I open my seam up like this, it will give me, it'll be less bulky. So I think that's what I'm going to do for this go round, around the top. All right, let's fix the bottom of our bag now. All right, so we have got our side seams sewed together and we have got the handles serged on around the top. So we could at this point go ahead and fold it down and top stitch around the top, but I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to finish the bottom first. So we're going to take the bottom of our bag down here and we're going to fold in 3.5, 4 inches, something like that. It's not, you don't have to be super accurate. You just want to get close. And then we are going to serge this shut. We're just going to serge right across here, and that makes the bottom of the bag. If you want it to be even more strong, you can come back and make another stitching line above it. I found that the serging works fine, but you can do either. So I'm going to do that for both bags. We're just going to fold this back and serge. And you can see mine's just a little offset. I'm just going to move it up a little bit and let the serger take care of it. These are shopping bags, not couture garments. So here where we have serged, I have this little tail, and I want to make sure that this doesn't unravel or get anything. So I'm going to take my little tail, I'm going to bring it up here. We're going to secure this with the sewing machine real quick. Some people will take the tail and use a needle and like pull it through. I stitch through the tail. I'm going to come up here just a little bit above, and I'm hitting those tail threads and I'm stitching across them. And I'm just securing that corner real good. And now I'm going to trim off all my threads. Come and do the same thing on this one. All right, now we're going to finish off the top of the bag, and the bag is done. So to finish off the top, we're literally just folding down this upper edge, and I'm not folding it down very much, 3/8 of an inch or so. You can do more or less, make the bag how you want. We're going to put a few clips in. I always like to start on a side seam. So when you start on the side seam, here's our strap. Here's my side seam. slide the strap under so it's not out in the way and you don't catch it somewhere you don't mean to. I'll show them to you. I have not pressed anything, so I probably will give them a quick little press just so they look a little nicer when I show them to you. But the rest of my life, they're going to be wadded up in the back of the car. Just so you can see, this is the, it's so dark, my goodness. We're getting ready to have a heavy storm. That's how it looks. All right, here is my pile of bags that I've made today. I have, these are the two that you saw on camera. So these are done, but not flipped around. So we're gonna now flip them around. Pull out those corners. I have not pressed them. So you can see this is how it looks unpressed and ready to go. And I did change my top thread for the final stitching of the Snoopy one because it was a light gray and I just didn't like the black on there. So it's the only place it shows. So here's my little Snoopy bag. You can see how deep it is. Now you can adjust this however you want for yourself. Oh, I have an A thread. So it folds in on the corners like this. So you can see that's how it is with it all folded in, to like fold it up to take places. You can see how we can make it pretty tight. And then when you open it up, it gets as wide as this, and because it has the little folds at the bottom, it's shaped like your shopping bag, your little grocery bags, your little plastic grocery bags. It's just a lot deeper. And you can make it shorter, you can make it however you want. I like the deepness, especially in my car. It just keeps things from falling out, and it's deep enough that an entire cereal box will fit in there, tall bread, things like that. But you can make them in multiple sizes too, to fit what you want. So here's my tropical one, and you can see it doesn't matter which direction you make that fold, you still end up with the nice pleat at the bottom with plenty of room to hold stuff. And then I have one made out of, this is the short one. I didn't have as much fabric for it, so you can see it's a little bit shorter. This is actually a little closer to the size of the actual shopping bags that you get in the grocery store. And then I have this one. Those are my 4 shopping bags I've made today of this style. Now I used the webbing. I did look when I was researching this. I first measured my little plastic bags that I get from Walmart or Target and looked at how they were constructed. Then I went online and looked at a few people who've made bags. So these are sort of based on all of the things that I saw. Everyone that I saw was making the bags was making fabric handles, which you certainly could do. You cut a strip of fabric 2 to 3 inches wide, 14 inches long. You could fold it over and make your own matching straps instead of using the webbing. I have so much webbing that I bought that I am using it up in projects like this. Let's start the next project. I have a French press that I want to make a coat and beret for, since it's French. I usually make iced coffee, but when I make warm coffee with my French press, the thing that drives me crazy is it gets cold quick in the French press. So I'm going to make it a little cozy to go around the press and a little hat to go on top. There's lots of ways you could do it. You can make it like the tea cozies where it splits over the entire top. But I decided I wanted to be able to keep the cozy on and use the handle and just take the little beret off the top. We'll see if I regret that. That's what I'm thinking. I have a lot of blue willow dishes and things, so I have this left over. Again, these are all from scraps from the scrubbed hats, and it looks a lot like a China pattern. And then I have this cute yellow that I'm going to use for the lining. And then I bought some fusible. This is fusible batting, and it comes in different weights. This is technically the medium weight, but it's not very big. I'm also going to put a little bit inside the beret. I'm going to finish the outer edge of the beret with fold over elastic. So I'm going to actually I'm going to put some of this in its little hat that's going to go over the top of the cap of my French press. I'm going to cut it narrower though, so that it's a little easier for it to compress in. I think that's how I'm going to choose to do that, but it will be completely lined. So I'm going to cut this out. This is my little pattern. This will fold around like this to go around my French press, because the handle, this is where the handle is. So it will button right here. If you put ties or buttons, whatever, but this is the spot where the handle is. So it's going to overlap there, come up to the top, and then the little beret is going to come down over and cover the top of it. So I have it a little long at the bottom. I'm going to adjust this length, but I'm going to go ahead and cut these pieces out. I'm thinking about doing bias around the outer edge of this. I haven't decided. All right, I ran to my cupboard real quick. I've got them traced off. It may be a little hard to see, but I've got a circle here and I've got the rest of the pattern here. Traced off with red chalk, and I went to see what colors of fold over elastic I have, and I have a yellow and a navy blue, so I have options for both of those. I'd probably go with the navy blue. I just think it looks nicest. I'm going to go ahead and cut these out, and then I'm going to come back and cut out of my fusible webbing. All right, so there we are. And you can see the pattern through on this one, so you definitely want to have some webbing between them so you don't have shadowing through of the pattern. I've got my French press. I also have these cut out so you can see. I don't know for sure I'm going to use either of these buttons, but I have these just simple plain white ones. I also have these really cute little daisy ones. I like the daisies, though I don't think they're really the same elegance. Like, this is more of an elegant and this is more cutesy. It's just a little kitchen gadget, so it doesn't. I'm making a hat and a coat for my French press. These are the fold over elastics that I have, so I can go with the yellow batting in the middle. Yeah, I definitely prefer the navy blue. So I'm going to cut out my batting next. It's going to be the exact same size for this piece and just, I think, a tiny bit smaller for this one, mainly because I want this to compress nicely. It's just a hat. It's just going to, like that. And as I'm looking at it, I hope it's big enough. When I measured it, I'm thinking I need to go bigger. Now that I'm setting it on here, I think this might be the size for my batting and I need to go out bigger. I think I'm going to cut another set of these and come out a good 1/2 inch all the way around, which will add 1 inch to it. So I'm going to cut a new one of these and I'm going to cut a batting this size. I have my silicone sheet because I'm going to be doing fusing and I don't want this to stick to my iron or to my ironing board. I think I'm going to go ahead and fuse it to the yellow. I could fuse it to either one. So it's pretty easy to see and feel the fusible side. It's got lots of little glue dots on it. So I'm going to fuse that to the wrong side of the yellow for both of them. And before I do that, I just want to make sure I don't have any wrinkles on that. So I'm going to actually press my yellow first. Fuse our batting to it. I went ahead when I cut my larger circle, I just cut the batting the same size. It's so thin that I don't think it's going to be an issue. Now I'm pressing and not ironing, so I'm pushing straight down. Okay, so we're just holding. You don't want to push because pushing will move the glue and it won't stick as well. Now you could come in and do some stitching lines across this, kind of like little quilting lines if you want to. I don't know that I'm going to. All right, those are ready to go. I'm going to just make sure my blue ones are nice and neat and pressed also. That's why we use the silicone sheet where there's interfacing, because it could have stuck to the ironing board. Have this attached, and then I'll meet you over at the serger. All right, I've got blue thread on my overlock, so that's what we're going to work with. I've got all my layers together. You could put some clips on if you need to. I'm just serging around the outer edge just to make it hold together. You could skip this step or you could use your sewing machine, whatever works for you. So there that is, ready to go. I can feel the top one stretching from the bottom. I should have flipped this over and done the yellow on top. I don't need to have this like all the way around on all edges. I just want it to hold together. So you definitely could do this on the sewing machine too if you wanted to. Okay, we're ready to come over to the sewing machine now. So I'm stretching, you can see how it just curves pretty nicely. Yeah, that's not tight enough at all. Look at that. Not even close. So when I do the buttonholes, I was thinking I have this bungee cord that I used when I made the Helios pant. And I definitely could fit that, I think, inside here. All right. So definitely cannot get this through there. I don't even have a bodkin that will fit. It's just too narrow. This is getting ready to come off. I'm going to use regular bias tape and because it's wider. And I am going to go to Plan B, which is using the bungee cord to tighten the hat. And that will fix it. And then I'll use this. This doesn't need any gathering or any elastic on it. So then I'll just use regular bias on this, which is a little bit darker navy, but it still works. So back in a minute after I take this off. I'm just cutting it off. It was not going to come off. I was debating, do I just go cut a whole new one and start, or do I cut off that elastic? I have since measured out and pinned or clipped on my bias tape, and I have taken the end and folded it in on itself like this, and then folded it so that I have a finished edge. It just looks nicer. So now I'm just going to start on one end, sew all the way around to the other. And I do that because there might be some movement in here, and I can refold this end if I need to. Only on this side, so I'm not actually getting the back one. I'm only getting the first part of my bias, and I have a nice big opening that I can feed through that little bungee cord stuff. I have to find my little bungee cord ends. I'm not sure where they are. Okay, you can see I have enough to get a little opening. They just barely overlap at the bottom. So that worked out fine. All right, this now can have the bungee cord fed through, and it's deep enough that my bodkin will fit in. Okay, I ended up using a safety pin instead of the bodkin. It's really hard to even get this cord onto either of them, but because I'm going around this curve, a regular bodkin just was not going to do it. So safety pin is the only way to go. Okay, I'll meet you back here when I get through to the other side. It's going to be slow going. I found my bungee ends to make my adjustment thing. I have a bunch of different styles in here, so I'm going to pick one of those out in a minute. There we go. You can see it gathers up a lot better with that. Now I'm going to just even it out a little. Yes, that's going to work a lot better. Now I burn my ends. I will show you. I've done this in videos before, but I never know if this will be your first time sewing with me. Okay. I find my little, here we go. So it's my little lighter, and it's keep it in the sewing room just for this sort of thing. It melts it because this is a synthetic. This other end that I used already was melted, and then the end that I cut it off of, I'm going to melt it too.
Now, if you've never done this before, I highly recommend going to like your kitchen sink where you can do it over the sink and dunk water on it real quick if you're not sure what you're doing. If you set it on fire, if it's a synthetic, it should just melt. But if you're working with a natural fiber, it may actually burn or set on fire, and that's why you need to do a test first. Somewhere safe where you can easily put the fire out. Let's see, which one would I like to see looking at? This one's too big. I need one of these little ones. This one, you just put both. I'm looking to see how it works. Is it like this? Yep. Okay, that one's pretty cute. I might go with that one. I think that'll work. Okay, so now I can pull this as tight as I need it and adjust my gathers and then cinch it up and it'll keep it there. That works a lot better. For the hat, isn't that cute? We now have a little beret. Let's go on to working on the actual coat. The first thing I think I'm going to do is these inner edges. So I've just cut a little piece of my bias that's bigger than I need by just a little bit. I'm going to fold it in half, open. This was my first one, which I did backwards. So you don't want to go that direction. We're going to come up. So the peak is going to be in the middle. Oh, I think my needle's dull. I just wanted to push my thing down. Got a new needle. Now that I have sewn my little V like this, I'm going to come up and clip in the middle. Okay. Now I've done it correctly. So now I'm going to flip these in two different directions to make it less bulky. And now that will fit over that corner. So I have to make one for the other corner. But now I have my little bias with a nice mitered corner. So I'm going to do that for the other corner. I'm going to make two of those. I'm going to stitch those in first, and then we'll come back and work on the rest. Okay, I have two corners ready to sew. While I was messing with this, I was thinking about my bungee cord for button loops, which would work fine. But the more I thought about it, I think I'm just going to do buttonholes and buttons because these two little outer edges overlap, and it'd be it's like a button placket. So I think I'm just going to do a buttonhole and buttons instead. And there's one corner. I'm just going to even this up at the top. Just going to go across the top to finish off that edge. I'm going to fold in an edge so it's finished. Go across like that. The top edge is finished. I'm just going to keep working my way around. I'm thinking I might, I'm going to miter my corner for this bottom, but I think I'm going to do it on the fly instead of pre-sewing it. We'll see if it works. Okay, we're ready for buttonholes and buttons. We're completely enclosed. Okay, I'm going to cut open my buttonholes, sew on my buttons, and we'll go try the little jacket and beret on my French press. So I have put the hat and the coat on my French press. He's got his little beret, which I can loosen, and I did cut the ties and reburn them to make it a little tighter. So that's how it looks. And I have buttoned his little coat. You can see the little buttons here. And that's it. It's pretty easy. I could have made a cozy that fits down, but what I really wanted was something I could pour from and leave the little warm coat on it. So I hope this helps keep my coffee warm a little longer. I'm just buttoning his little buttons. Line that up with the handle. And then this is adjustable, so I can loosen and tighten this if I need to get it on. And the main thing is this little area right here. So I want to make sure I get that little pour spout and put his little hat on him. Oh my gosh, I probably seem like a crazy person. There's my little, my French press in his hat and his coat.
All right, I am now going to actually take these bags, and I'm going grocery shopping now. So I'm going to go take these bags and fill them up. Well, thanks for sewing with me and getting some silly small projects out of the way. Definitely this is going to go in the beginner level of my playlists, along with my sewing and such playlist, which is just everything sewing. If you saw my video where I talked about making new playlists, I am slowly populating those with the videos under, I'm working on adding them under the pattern company and also under difficulty level. So definitely in the easy sewing pattern category and the no pattern category, though I don't think I have an actual playlist for no patterns. Maybe I need to add that too. All right, I'll see you next week for another fun video.